Hi, I'm Val, and for the next whole 5 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about getting people to do what you want. Yeah. Except pretty much everything I know about getting people to do what I want comes from some projects I've done with a few collaborators over the last year or so. And most of these projects have involved the public display of things made of yarn. So there's nothing scientific or serious about what I'm about to tell you, but hopefully maybe I can save you some trial and error in your own projects from my experience. So our story begins with 3 friends, one of which is me, who decided they absolutely had to start a knitting gang because yarn bombing seemed like a really cool thing to do. I'm sure this happens a lot. We had one problem, though, is none of us were very good knitters, and actually only 2 out of the 3 of us even knew how to knit at the time. So we were off to a great start. But that's okay, because we weren't really interested in the knitting. What we were interested in was people's behavior. The thing about yarn bombing we thought was really cool was the idea that you could change something just temporarily, some everyday object, and suddenly people might be like torn out of their daily routine and notice something as mundane as like a parking meter that they've passed every day this week or maybe this year. And we thought that idea was pretty cool. So we challenged ourselves to create a situation with knitted things that might actually get people to not just notice something changed, but do something about it. And that's how we got to needing to figure out how to get people to do what we wanted. We wanted people to not only notice what we'd done, but to respond to it in a specific way. So specific, we would give them instructions and try to track it. So, you know, easy. Our first attempt at this, we knitted enough to cover all the parking meters within the space of 2 galleries and put everything up the night before a neighborhood gallery crawl. And what we did on this first time and every other time is we put up these very specific tags on each piece. And these had the instructions telling people what to do. And we found out pretty quickly that the way we worded these tags made a huge difference in the way people would respond. We tried one, or the first one we tried that was really awful, so it's kind of embarrassing, but we had people try to get them to report what they'd seen, as if they were going to be like, oh my God, did you see that? We should tell someone. It doesn't work that way at all. People report things that they think are bad, and apparently parking meters wearing funny outfits, not really bad. So that didn't work out so well. It was pretty much didn't work at all. We tried a few variations of things of being like, hey, did you like this? Why don't you tell us? I don't know if like asking questions was too much or if people couldn't decide or what, but that was really underwhelming as well, and none of those variations really worked. The one that really worked for us was the simplest one ever, where we basically just said, hey, make our day, followed by instructions on how to do it. And this actually worked. We basically assumed that if people were paying that much attention that we probably made them smile, and maybe they were nice enough to return the favor. And amazingly, it worked, and we got responses from this for months after things went up. So one other thing we put out with all of our strikes was, because that's funny, was LED flowers, which are basically things that resemble flowers, mostly made of yarn, and have an LED and fiber optics to make them light up. These posed their own problem because they kept getting stolen. And maybe stolen's the wrong word because we were putting them out on the street, but we really needed them to stick around for more than a couple hours. So, our mistake here is we put up something shiny, and everyone was like, oh, shiny. And they basically just wanted to take them, and they didn't care why they were there. They're just like, mine, done. So after a while of this happening over and over, we finally came up with a clever solution, and we actually let people own it from the start. We put these up only in patios and like flower beds in front of shops and restaurants, and we figured this would trick people into thinking it belonged to the shop. And that totally worked, but something else happened too. The shop owners actually kind of tried to own these flowers. They thought they were theirs. They would send us tweets like, thanks for the awesome display. And there was one that actually sent us daily updates and was like, it's raining, the LED is still on. And we're like, oh, we love you. So that was pretty awesome. But the biggest thing we learned from all of these was basically that timing is really important. And some people might say it's everything, even. Our most successful strike was timed to happen right before the annual meeting of Bike Pittsburgh. We covered all the parking meters surrounding their main office and their meeting venue, and they all had instructions to tweet a specific thing if you saw them. This one almost didn't happen because they had their meeting on the coldest day of the year. So we were outside sewing knitted things onto metal bike racks in -17 degrees Celsius weather. Don't try that, ever. It's a terrible idea. But it was totally worth it because we got the best reaction ever, and we had a huge response from it, but the problem was it wasn't how we expected. They were all on Facebook, and we wanted them to be on Twitter, so we had to act really fast to kind of keep up and keep track of things. Social media silliness. So to sum it all up, kind of the really important things we learned about getting people to do what we wanted is to make their day and they'll make yours. Let them own it. Timing really is everything, and sometimes you got to break your own rules. So thanks very much.